What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And you're listening to a almost springtime episode of Liquid Kernedge. What's up, buddy?
Oh, springtime is here. Weather's getting warmer. We've had baseball down here, so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun for you because every time we try to get an episode in, you're out at a ball game. You got
I know.
In town. You got friends in town.
Family, man. It's all Noreen's family. It's not me. I have no friends, man.
Well, your friends keep trying to come down, but every time we do, you got family down there. And then we have to stay at our B suite, which is our executive producer's house, Tom. And nobody wants to sleep on a flop mattress in a spare room with a what's the best way to put it, Tom, since you're on the show? A blocked out window that looks into your shed?
It's kind of dungeon-esque. It's not awful. It's a good. You just need to get away from the light and the world. You can close the door and you're good to go. And it's a very nice air mattress. It's an Aero bed. It's from Costco.
I mean,
I don't know what you're complaining about.
I would call it cozy, like dungeon cozy. Is that a thing?
I think there's such thing as dungeon cozy. They usually call that an escape room, but
that's true.
You know,
well, depending on some of Tom's dates, that might be what it is. You never know. Hey-oh!
Hi-oh! Wow. Now, Scott, you know that we're coming up on another anniversary of 2 years.
2 years.
And we've had our executive producer from day one for this anniversary. So let's be prepared that if he knows anything about good recordings and bad recordings, he would be our expert.
Yeah, it's true. And as every season ends, it's almost like an annual review, like a job. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm sure we're about to get our annual reviews on this, and I just made fun of them right before that. So
yeah, probably not good timing.
Before we get into that, hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at Liquid Kernedge. What's the worst job review you've ever gotten, and what job was it? If you want to talk to Tom about his comments on our job reviews this year, hit him up on Twitter and Instagram, all at liquid_EP. Tom?
All right. So for my first comment, Scott, I really like how you consistently do the social plugs every week, and you just smooth delivery. It's really well done. Mm-hmm. And the snarky comment with including me, I appreciate that. So good job on the social media engagement, and especially with a little extra kudos during Snowpocalypse, #Snowpocalypse 2019.
Thank you. That was
you did a good job.
Thank you.
That was good. That was really good.
I did have cabin fever, and I was stuck in the house for the better part of a day and a half, so I really had nothing else to do.
So, yeah, just generally my only real comment to you is, don't knock a free place in a dungeon to sleep in, because
that's true.
I could change the door codes on you, or I could just move and not tell you.
Which wouldn't be the first time for either. Would not be the first time for either.
Fun fact I've done before. I have a track record with that. So, keep it up. You get like a B+, maybe a low A, kind of depending on my mood. So, you're going to get a 2 to 2.5% raise next year.
For what the audience doesn't know is, since I am the younger brother, I think subconsciously all I've ever wanted is my brother's approval, and that might be the closest I'm ever going to get to it, so I'm going to take it and run.
That was pretty good, Scott. An A- B+ and a 2.5% raise.
Right.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
I
good.
can't even get that on my real job. And I have record-setting numbers, so.
Now, Jason.
Yes, sir.
You, my friend. Oh, I loathe to use the word friend.
I know. It's a loosely used term, right?
Please don't talk. You're only going to make it worse. Jason, we've had to make a few changes. So this is to go ahead and let you know that you're not going to be on the podcast after today. Today is going to be your last one.
I don't want to interrupt, but we can't have a Liquid Kernedge without an edge in the name.
Scott, we'll figure it out. It's going to be retooling the podcast, but I have valid reasons. I have valid reasons for wanting to do a talent change.
Okay.
Honestly,
you use the word talent very loosely too. I take it.
Honestly, Scott, we cannot abide by having a Dodgers fan in our midst.
Gosh. Yeah.
And when he's not made just his bitch by the Red Sox, but then his football team, the Rams, are made his bitch again in the Super Bowl by the Patriots. And, I will give Jason the pass on the Rams because they were so bad for so long. And I do not talk, Jason. And we have photographic proof that Jason was in through the darkest days in St. Louis, and we as Cardinal fans have been there. We have seen the glorious resurrection of the Cardinal-like Phoenix rising out of the ashes. But honestly, Jason,
no pun intended.
Dodgers, really? Dodgers? We just can't have that. And if you tell me who's your hockey team, by the way?
Okay, I will only tell you.
Jason,
the Arizona Coyotes are my team.
Jason, you can't do that. You're not going to get any help with this. No, I'm sorry. Jason, we're going to need you to change your passwords and go ahead and send them to liquid_ep@gmail.com. Which is not a real email address. And then so Scott and I are going to go ahead and figure the rest of the podcast out for the rest of the week. And I also just want to go ahead and say I can't throat punch you, which I want to do every week because of whatever reason. It's in the notes, but I have a lot of grief because my favorite bar shut down a couple of weeks ago and I still haven't worked my way through it.
Oh, so, no.
Is this misplaced anger from Flanny's closing down onto Jason? Could it be that?
It could
maybe.
Be. I mean, oh man! So your favorite bar closed?
Well, the owner sold out, and it's a new kind of like generic locals chain sports bar. It's not a Scott would call it a VW's. It's another local chain that's named after a major East Coast city. So on one corner it's Boston's, and then on the other corner it's going to be Philly's. And then if a native New Yorker opens on yet another corner, I'm just going to go ahead and shoot myself in the head.
Well,
I mean,
oh no, it's the end of an era, man. It's an end of an era.
How would you know? You've never been there. You won't even come south of the 202.
Hey, I got to be honest. Being kicked off the show and fired, I can say whatever I want now, and so I know it's an end of an era.
Well, we'll see. All right. Anyway.
If this is the end of an era, that means this is also the beginning of a new era, and I would like to host a talent show contest with Jason as a special guest to name the next host of Liquid Kernedge.
Wow. All I know is she better be really good looking.
She will, buddy, but don't worry. I'm going to put you in a wig and put some lipstick on you and make sure you win that contest too.
Thanks, buddy.
This only goes on with you and me. Anyone else just wouldn't be the same.
So Tom, you're telling me that this bar was like a local, kind of just like a local spot that was owned by a guy who just knew all the neighborhood people, and then he decided to sell and get out of the business completely, huh?
Well, it's a little bit more complex than that, but to describe the relationship of me to this bar, have you ever seen the movie Shaun of the Dead?
Yes.
This bar was my Winchester.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
Well, so even if I had never been in the bar, an end of an era is inappropriate if it's the Winchester from Shaun of the Dead.
I mean, it's...
You know what? I'm going to give you a pass, even though I've been in the fetal position since your performance review. I'm going to give you a pass because that's a hard thing when the end is near and you have to take ownership of the end of an era, my friend.
So that brings up a good topic today. Since we're here, we're discussing openly the end of an era. Tom, your bar is closing. Jason, we had an end of the era last year when you relocated to Phoenix, so we had to stop doing season 1 face to face.
Yeah, so that was hard too.
So often, so many good things end, so new beginnings can begin. Like, it was kind of anticlimactic, but you hear what I'm saying. Like, it's not the end of the world, Tom. There's other bars. Literally, there's other bars down the street.
But not other memories.
Not other memories. So,
not other memories.
Let's take a trip down memory lane for you on this one, Tom. What was your first memory of Flanny's? Or do you remember that memory?
No, I distinctly remember that watching football there one Sunday afternoon, looking for a place to live, because I was selling my previous residence and found the house I'm in now because it was between Flanny's and another bar I have frequented, also on McClintock, which also shut down in the last 6 weeks.
Wow! So you just had a rough go about it.
Oh, it's been a rough fucking 2019 for me so far.
So have you found another bar to frequent since then? Like, have you barred around, like blind dated a bar trying to see if it's going to work for you?
I'm not ready for that kind of commitment yet. I can't. I don't know if I'm ready.
You could play the field. I mean, there's literally 2,000 bars in Phoenix. You could check out all these other bars and all these other areas.
Yeah, but Flanny's was my bar.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It was the neighborhood joint. It was where I like to hang out.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, so the wounds are still fresh, and let's be honest. If you watch football there, you have a few months to find a new place to heal, to move on.
Well, yeah, because Lord knows the hot shots aren't doing very good.
You know what? They beat the Alabama. What's their names? Iron Maidens or whatever they're called on Saturday night. So that's not a bad deal. They're back to 500.
Yeah, okay, it's better than the Cards.
Yeah. So Jason,
Yes, sir.
We're talking about the end of an era. Is there something that happened to you as a major era ending situation?
Has there something happened to me at the end of an era?
But
I've always found it interesting when they keep talking about the one Blockbuster Video that's still open in the world in Bend, Oregon, because I remember when I was younger person, Blockbusters were everywhere, and that's where we just would always go to get our movies to rent when we wanted to watch movies, with the family, and they were everywhere. So the thought that there's only one left in the world,
it's kind of sad.
The one in New Zealand or Australia just closed, so the only one that's left is one in Bend, Oregon. That was kind of a big one for me because it's like, wow, that's been around for, I don't even know if you can consider 30 years a long time, but it'd been around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, well, you figure the Betamax came up in the early 80s and it lasted all the way to the mid 2000s. So yeah, we're talking about 30 years. That's not bad.
Mm-hmm. But so that for me was kind of but more for the memories. I just remember my dad and I would go into the store and we pick out the new release from that week, and that's what we watched for dinner on Sundays. We'd have dinner every night. I talked about that, but yeah, we'd have dinner every night, and it was just part of that whole experience, like Tom was saying. I mean, I bought this house because I was close to these two bars, and now both of them are gone.
Yeah, looking back when I bought my house a few years ago, that was the end of an era for me. I had to get out of the house I was in. I just needed to change, and I needed to start a brand new era. And looking back now, I'm glad I'm in the house I'm in. But had I been thinking, I too would have found a house closer to a bar that I frequent, just for ease and comfort. I happen to pick a house that's probably the farthest away from any bar in town, so it makes me have to think twice about getting too crazy. Not that it stopped me, I just didn't think twice about it.
Yeah, I think about some of those big chains like Sears and Radio Shack, and maybe it's just because those were part of my youth, but to see that those stores are closing, or the Kmart closing, I mean, it's just kind of like, wow, now Amazon beats the crap out of it, and Walmart beats the crap out of it, so you just get destroyed by progress.
But you talk about the end of eras too. You have to look at like television and music. I mean, how many eras were defined by the shows and by the music? We hear the disco era from the 70s and early 80s, or the grunge phase from the 90s and gangster rap phase from the 90s. Tupac to Nirvana, or TV shows like Seinfeld and Friends that defined a generation.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I know they have to end. Because you can't write so many stories about nothing, like for Seinfeld, but you have to end it. But it's like, wow, that's a change in the whole scheme of things.
But some people live their lives by, that music, or going to those stores, or watching those TV shows. And that's the part that intrigues me too. It's because you're forced to have a new normal at that point. That might be part of your normal routine to watch that show on a Thursday night, or go to that grocery store on Sunday. And then all of a sudden it closes down. You're forced to find that new normal and that new routine. And I don't know, I guess I keep going back to the old saying, for something new to live, something old has to die. Is that a saying? You should put that. You should.
Wow, that was like out of a movie or something, like a Batman, super dark.
I don't know.
Scarecrow's going, for something new to live, something old has to die.
I think, Jason, you should market that. You should put that on like cups, or
like I'm going to put that next to "Alone I Survive and Together We Thrive."
Exactly. I think that got all these.
They got all these great ideas.
Yeah, right. Well, apparently you have a lot of free time on your hands right now, so you can start some of that marketing.
Well, we're looking for homes in the area, and it's been hard because we look at homes that are older. Some of the homes have been made in the 40s or 50s, and there's something really cool and special about that nostalgia. And then you look at a home from the 80s and it's like, ugh, gosh, those are ugly homes. You know what I mean? Like, those are ugly. Holy crap. So maybe there's something to be said about putting some distance between when something ends and then coming back to it.
Right. But there's something to be said about that too. You're like, the older retro always comes back in the style, but I don't think I want to see the 80s style homes come back in the style with it's all dark wood and, shag carpet, dark carpet. It's just not inviting.
Well, like, perfect example. So Tom's Bar is still a bar, but the ambiance is gone.
So is it the same people that work there, Tom, or is it?
They're remodeling it right now, but there's a couple of the same bars throughout town. So it looks like they're just going to bring in all new staff or existing staff from the other joints. So, but like when you go there on a Sunday and watch football, it's the same two bartenders, the same server, and then the owner's kind of hanging out in the background. And he's a Giants fan, so the Giants game is always on. And then he turned on the Cardinals game on the main TV, and so you got two shitty teams up there already. And then you got a third team for whoever the Heinz 57 is. And typically there's a couple of Steelers guys there. So we'll end up watching the AFC North game. And, so it's like, so this last year was really tough because it was three bad teams.
Well, and I get that. That's why. Well, that's
I mean, how good would the Steelers be if they had Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown on the same team? How good would they be?
Oh, they would be so good. I mean, they might even win Super Bowl, maybe.
Or they might at least get to the AFC playoffs.
Jeez.
But wow. I get that. You get used to your bartenders. You get used to the people that serve you. That's why JP and I would go to Chili's every Sunday for football here in town, because we knew Luke, the bartender. We talked fantasy football and stats. He knew what games to put on which TV. And we sat next to the Chiefs and Raiders fans and the guy that always had to sit and watch the Browns. Nobody knew anyone's names. We just knew each other by their teams, and it was okay for us then. And if we see each other outside of the bar, we don't know how to act.
It's a quiet head nod and go.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Don't make eye contact. Just keep walking. There's
a married couple that would always sit next to us, and he was a Chiefs fan, she's a Raiders fan. And we would have great conversations on Sunday, but I ran into him at Walmart grocery shopping on a Saturday after the season. We didn't know what to say to each other because we didn't know each other's names. We weren't in the right environment. It was just awkward,
Yeah, that's what I think. That's the camaraderie of that moment is so important. That if you don't have that, then what else do you have? You have nothing.
Yeah, it builds the chemistry.
Right. Yeah. I used to get always mad at companies too, where they let's say they have a thriving business that someone buys, and then the first thing they do is immediately go and change the thing that makes the business cool.
Yeah.
And then they wonder why it failed. Like, why did our company fail? Well, why did you switch what was working? Like, why did you change that? If that's what was drawing people there, you go and change it. It's not the same.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it,
Yeah, like Flanny's. Why couldn't you have just, if Flanny's was doing so well, why couldn't you just bought Flanny's, kept it Flanny's, and just made money?
No, Tom, was it a situation where they made him an offer he couldn't refuse, or maybe he just was sucking hind tit and couldn't afford to keep it open, so he had to make a business decision?
Well, so the owner was originally from the East Coast, and he sold out in New Jersey about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And his boy was going to ASU, and I think the boy finished ASU last semester.
10 years later?
No, the boy.
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
They're called
doctors.
No, he hasn't been going full time. He's been working at the bar. He's been co-managing the bar.
Oh.
And something we don't know the exact reasoning. And I hadn't been there since football season, and it was like, it popped up on Facebook, like, the day before we're closing.
Wait. So that's your bar, your watering hole. You haven't been there since football season?
No.
I don't think that means what you think it means then. I mean, that's your football bar, but like your local, like neighborhood bar, that's like your Cheers. You have to be like the Norm or the Cliff or the Fraser of Cheers,
Oh, I couldn't afford to do that. It's a craft beer bar. It's like $7 a beer. What do you think I'm made of? Money?
Touche.
It's like I go there for dinner. It would be like $30. Oh, maybe there's a reason why he had to shut down.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're charging too much. Jeez.
Yeah, but
I remember
though is like you should frequent it more, at least once every other week or so, as your normal bar, to make sure you maintain relationships there.
Well, and so like like Monday was a low day, so he started closing on Mondays. And that'd be kind of the day Mondays suck. So I'd go in on Mondays and have a beer, and I'd watch, whatever baseball game was on TV and chill. And, it's closed on Mondays. Okay, I got a standing thing on Tuesdays. Wednesdays are trivia night. Well, who wants to play bar trivia by themselves? So,
that's sad,
right? It is.
You do have friends down there.
I have
by yourself. That's sad.
I have friends. I have friends. The problem is they're all married with children.
Oh, come on.
No.
Losers.
Yeah, well, anywho. And then, so, it keeps going. So I have other things going on, and, the rhythm of life and the whole bit. And, I'd pop in on the weekend. Like yesterday, I was helping my buddy Curtis move some stuff. And he's like, here, I'll buy you lunch for helping me move this stuff with your truck. And I'm like, oh, okay, we should go to, we can't because it's closed. All right, we'll go to Cornish Pastico instead. But, it's the rhythms of life. And like you said so eloquently, that should really go on a T-shirt. In order for something new to grow, something old has to die.
So what are your thoughts then when you see the big monster company basically kill the small little mom and pop store? Does that evoke any emotion in either of you, or do you have any thoughts on that?
I have a different philosophy on that because I've had to deal with that professionally, and the company I work for is the largest company in the county up here in Kingman, and we have had experiences. We've had to buy out other offices that do medical work, and we've had a lot of backlash where people would say the hospital's buying up this, they're buying up that, they want a monopoly, and they don't want to realize that if we didn't buy it up, those services wouldn't be here anymore. So we're not doing this just for the bottom line. We're doing this so we can keep making sure those services are provided in the community.
Well, okay, so here's the difference, though. It would be different, though, the difference would be is if you didn't buy them out, you just killed their business because you were such a conglomerate that people weren't going to them. To me, I'd see a distinction because you're right. When you buy the business, the owner of the business is getting something out of it.
Yeah.
It's not like You've Got Mail, that movie where the big bookstore basically crushed her business because she had a little mom and pop bookstore.
Yeah.
And, the big business crushed the little business. So
it's
true.
And I think from the other perspective is what was it, 2015, worst Christmas present I ever got. AB InBev bought my favorite craft beer joint in Arizona, Four Peaks Brewing. So I boycotted Four Peaks and said I will never drink Four Peaks again, which into contrast to what Scott said. I was the guy that said, middle finger up to the man, and I'm not going to do this thing anymore. Well, 2 years, I'm not done yet, Jason. This is why you aren't on the podcast anymore. You won't let me talk.
That was actually me, but go ahead.
Okay.
That was Scott this time. I listened because I got yelled at. I want to try to keep my job, so I listened.
So, but 2 years later, I've gone back to Four Peaks. The bar is still there. They've remodeled it. It looks really nice. And I was at the bar. I was having lunch, and okay, Saturday. This is cool because it's next to ASU. So, you might as well. And I'm talking to the bartenders. Oh yeah. And one of the brewers came over. We started just talking beer brewing, and I'm like, "Were you here before the buyout?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was." The benefits are way better now. Our yeast is here. We're expanding this. We're expanding that. We're doing this. And they're like, oh, so on the one hand, it killed a little bit of local flavor, but now it's made the lives of the employees infinitely better. They actually have real insurance, which is, huge. And, a beer that I love goes throughout the country. Now, is it a little bit less special because it's throughout the country? No. I just changed my loyalty to favorite local beer. But, if I happen to be on the East Coast and I see a Four Peaks, I'll probably stop and have one.
So let me pose this to you then, though. If you owned a small business and you grew that business, and we'll say you owned a brewery and Budweiser came in, wanted to buy it, like in the Four Peaks case, as that business owner of the small business, of the small brewery, are you not trying to build your business to eventually sell your business to make a profit and get out?
So, and that's actually I had this exact discussion with Curtis yesterday at lunch. And so kind of we came down on different sides of the same coin, because I'm of the philosophy that if you're going to do something and you're going to build something, why would you sell it? You need to grow it, nurture it, and make it bigger and better. But Curtis kind of had your take is, no, you grow it to sell it, and then you go start the next thing, which is it's also a valid and logical path. It's just not the way I'm wired.
See, because I take that same philosophy with music, and people that hate bands that have sold out. We'll take Nickelback, for example. They said all their stuff sounds the same and they've sold out. Well, yeah, of course they sold out. Every band sells out because you don't want to play bars and nightclubs forever. You want to play arenas and have your music on 24/7 across the world. That's why you play. That's why you play the music. That's why you do what you do. You build up what you're doing so you can sell out. If you don't want to sell out, you don't like money. You want to live in the toilet, which is fine. That's it. You live for your art, whether it's building a business or music or whatever else. But a smart person will sell out and take the money and run.
And I agree with that. I think that the story I'm referring to when I think about the big taking over of the small is there was a story on the news about a dairy farmer out of Wisconsin or something like that, whose farm had been in the family for 85 years. And they had to sell because the big dairy farmers were basically just crushing the small little mom and pop farm. They didn't get bought out. They lost everything.
Yeah. And that's different.
And that is a distinction.
That's
I mean, in your situations, if Anheuser-Busch came in and put a beautiful bar right next to Flanny's or right next to your homemade, little mom and pop bar and basically took all of your business and just crushed you, that's a lot different than, hey, I really like what you're doing. I just want to buy you out. Here's a big lump sum of cash to do that.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, for me, the distinction is different in that regard. And like, I think about it. I mean, think of some of the major companies, JCPenney, Sears, that are not going to be around in 5-10 years because Amazon and Walmart will crush them.
Yeah. But
and Sears and JCPenney's are not mom and pop stores. I mean, these are big, iconic companies that are going to get crushed.
And I think from that perspective, like an iconic company versus another iconic company, that's survival of the fittest. That's either you evolve with the times or you get eaten by the times,
Yeah, I can get that. I can get that for iconic versus iconic, but there is a lot to be said about the loser feeling a real sense of loss and feeling bad about what had just happened.
I guess,
and yet for me,
it all comes down to how you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather be able to go online and order anything I want from Amazon than go to a JCPenney or a Sears store so I can feel nostalgic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm playing into it too. So I'm not trying to play like I'm a better person by only going to mom and pop stores. But I still get saddened by it.
It's like you said, it all comes down to who's getting paid cash at the end and who has to close the doors because they didn't make the cash. Bottom line, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, I think you're right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say you're going to still continue to be on the podcast as talent. We're going to put you on probation for the next year. We'll see how you're doing at the next review cycle at the end of season 3.
Season 3 coming soon.
I appreciate that because I promise you that I will make much better effort to listen and not always get throat punched every episode. I will do my part to heed your performance evaluation and make sure that I get at least up to a D-, maybe even a D+ on the performance evaluation.
Jason?
Yes, sir.
You will never get anything above the F as long as you're an acknowledged Dodgers fan.
Oh, wow. Okay. In that case, then I'm dead.
Maybe it just starts with like a D-backs t-shirt or something like that.
Hey, I'm rooting for the Diamondbacks this year, man.
You live down there. You should jump on the bandwagon. Enjoy it. Yep. It's going to be a rocket. We're a better team than people realize.
I'm hoping.
Until July, we're a better team than people realize.
Well, no one's going to care until July when football starts and want to see what's happening over there. Let's be real.
Yeah, true.
Hey, you weren't on the podcast when we announced it, but you listened to it, obviously. I do want to give a big shout-out, congratulations to our executive producer, because accomplishing what you did at Grand Canyon and getting your master's, that was a pretty big feat, considering you work the hours that you do. So congratulations, man. That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yep,
well, thank you. But, you're still not off probation.
That doesn't help? Okay.
No.
Okay, well, I'm still on probation.
Yep.
Okay.
Jason, look at the viral.
I'll work on it.
That's trying to get his approval. He just dangles it out there like that insurance commercial with the old man and the dollar bill. Hey, man.
Hey, but now that I know the truth that he lost Flanny's and he lost the other bar, I understand. I'll give him a pass for the next 5 or 6 weeks. Whoa! It must be time to end the podcast because the dogs are saying, "Daddy, feed me."
Yep, that's what it. Someone can't pull onto the street, and that's what it was. So I guess right. It's a good point to end the show. Tom, thanks for being on with us this week. If you want to hit us up about your favorite ending of an era, if there's such a thing, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Kernedge. If you want to make fun of Tom's swear trek this week, Liquid_EP on Instagram and Twitter.
Wow, that was perfect plug, Scott. I don't even know if it could be any better.
Well, thank
you. Tom, do you have any last thoughts that you want to tell the listeners about anything?
I just want to thank our listeners for listening for the last 2 years, and I appreciate
2 years.
Last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And I want to appreciate the listeners who consistently like our posts or my posts on the Instagram. I really like that because it's validation, because Lord knows you guys don't click anything on Twitter. So, seriously, Twitter.
We're working on it. We're trying to get there. I'll start working on the Twitter stuff. Season 3, here comes Twitter. Revenge of the Twitter.
That's the only thing I've ever asked for from him, Tom. I do everything else. He has to do the Twitter, and he doesn't do it.
I do the Facebook. I do the Instagram. I have the catchy hashtags. I do everything I can to drive business to our pages.
Jason, right. That was our entire relationship growing up right there. Oh. That last 30 seconds.
Fuck, man.
Yep.
Jason, okay, kids. Let's end this shit.
Hey, guys, thanks for being on. Tom, thanks for a probationary year. I appreciate it. I'll work on it. Scott, as always, really enjoyed the time. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Kernedge.